Welcome back to the MeasureU Podcast. Jeff Sauer here. And today we're going to be diving into a feature that's become easier to use thanks to a recent Google Tag Manager update. And that is that you can send custom event parameters to your Google Ads conversions, which is a really powerful way to get smarter with the data you're collecting on your conversions. It'll unlock some segmentation options, a lot more granularity in your campaigns. And I'm joined today by Alina E Popa, who is one of our MeasureU mentors and a really awesome agency owner in the ads and analytics space. And she's going to be talking about the solution. So Alina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So I think this all came from something happening in the MeasureU community where you posted an update and we were all pretty interested in it. And a lot of good comments were happening in there. And a lot of us were just like, okay, well, this is nice because we've been wanting this feature for quite some time. So why don't you take us through your journey to discovery and why this is useful?
So I was working on client setup, and then I saw that in Google Tag Manager, now we can add custom variables. They are extra key value pairs of data that you can send along with your conversion to add more context. So think of a standard conversion like as a postcard that just says a sale happened. But with these event parameters, now you can add additional context like it is a premium subscription or a product category that was purchased by the clients. And now you can, we discussed some variables. You can segment your reports to show the data, and then let me just rephrase, and then add value to clients through a more accurate measurement.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you know the category of a product that was purchased or something even more in depth than that. Could be color, could be preferences, and then you can just use that as a way to feed your ads campaigns so that it just makes the algorithm work even better, or your campaigns work even stronger because they have more signal than they did before.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense.
And I think it works best for lead generation clients to send the value of leads not having 10 conversions, let's say, for the same form submission. They can have one, but with the custom parameters, they can send the lead quality score for the lead.
That's super nice. Yeah. So you can basically say, I only want, and then you can train your bidding around that to say, go get more of these people, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds super useful. But I'm guessing that until it was available in Tag Manager, it was actually pretty technical to implement. Because I've tried this before. I've run ads, forever, and just getting developers or getting people to actually pass parameters through is difficult because you're taking like this little JavaScript snippet and then you're trying to get somebody to pull it from an e-commerce system or something along those lines. I'd imagine with Tag Manager, with things like with like a data layer variable and a common language and taxonomy, that the work you did in setting up e-commerce already, or the work you've already done in setting up your analytics, might translate here. Is that true?
Yes. Before, you require developers to hardcode the GTAG.js snippets on the website, and it was pretty slow. And it was a barrier for most marketing teams. But now with this addition in Google Tag Manager, we can use the GA4 data layer to send additional parameters, and it's really easy. So I think many marketers will benefit from it.
I love it. That's great news for marketers then if they have this benefit. So since this is a pretty tactical podcast and a pretty tactical YouTube channel we put this on, I think I'd love it if you can show us how this works. I mean, you showed us a screenshot in the community, but I think elaborating on it even more would be great. So could you walk us through like the practical steps? If somebody listening wanted to implement this today, what would they need to do?
Sure. Just let me share my screen. Okay, so inside Google Tag Manager, on the Google Ads conversion tracking tag, I have the purchase here. We now have this option to add event parameters. We can use an event setting variable if we want and reuse it in other Google Ads conversion tracking tags, or we can add event parameters one by one. As you can see, I added one event parameter here that retrieves the category from the data layer. So here is the purchase event and it retrieves the category. After we set this up in Google Tag Manager, I waited and published the container. I waited for a few days, but the custom variables did not appear in Google Ads. So I had just to go to goals, custom variables, and I needed to register the exact custom variable here. So with GTAG.js, it usually appeared like this and you have to activate it. But with Google Tag Manager, it did not appear. So I had to register. After registration, I already see here all the recent values that each custom variable received. And it's pretty easy to implement. And then once it's implemented, I don't have it. I need to open. Now I need to open the other account to show you.
That's fine.
Or here, yes, here it is. So, and then in order to see the custom variables, we go to campaigns. So we will go to the Google Ads. So we will go to campaigns, then column, then segment, conversions, custom variable, and here is the event category. And you can see them here.
Oh, great.
And we can even do a custom column for the custom variable. So we can modify columns, go to create a new custom column, name it as we want, like product category. And then column conversions. And here we have the custom variables, and we can add a filter to say event category equals or contains something that we want, a category like shoes or something.
Nice.
And then apply, and then we have the custom column that we can use in our reporting.
So the important things are that I'm seeing is you have to register it in Google Ads. Otherwise, just because you did it in Tag Manager doesn't mean that it's registered or that they accept it, right? So you have to you had to register it as a conversion event, and then or as a custom variable.
Custom variable.
Yeah, custom variable. Then when you're doing segmentation, you can segment on that custom variable once data comes in. It's a proactive change. So it's after you make the change that it comes in. So it's like if you did this a month ago, you only get data from that month forward. You don't get it in the past. So it does take a while to populate the data depending on the volume that they're experiencing, as you can see. And then it sounds like once that's set up and it's in place, you can use it for both reporting and then you can use it for optimization as well, right? Like, are you using this for optimization functions in there?
We will use it for optimization purposes let me just observe. So we will use it for optimization purposes for one client to send the lead score from the forms. And we will then use maximize conversion value bidding strategy on it, because we will have different values for different lead scores. And we can do this with lookup table variable in Google Tag Manager.
Yeah.
Based on the custom variable. Yeah.
And then in order to do the optimization around that, and do you have to make it a conversion, and then the conversion ends up it's what you optimize for? Or can you optimize around variables like
no,
how does
you
that,
cannot. You cannot optimize towards custom variables, and you also cannot. So in Google Ads, you cannot. Let me see how it's named.
Yeah. So you might call it a good lead or a high quality lead because the lead score was there, but that's how you know that it's something you want to train on. So you can't just train on any set of values. It has to be on that piece of it. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Yes, and within a conversion action.
Yeah.
So you cannot create a value rule containing the custom variable to give additional values depending on the custom variable
Mm-hmm.
value. So you can only use it in a conversion, and doing like this with modifying the value based on a lookup table and on the lead scores, I think it's the easiest method with Google Tag Manager.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like that lookup table function too, because I've played around with these things before, and if you leave too open ended, like then it's you have too many micro conversions or too many individual things, and it's nice to report on it, but you can't
Mhm.
optimize on it, right? You need to just say like, I want to optimize, I want more of these things, versus if you just left it as like an item name or something like that. That's good for a report, but you can't train an algorithm on that because it's too
Sure.
broad. You need more, you need enough data, which makes a lot of sense. I love that lead score use case. That makes so much sense. Okay,
Yes.
so let's talk about that, how that turns into success then. So you've got it set up. There's richer data definitely flowing into Google Ads, right? Like it's there. We just witnessed it. You're seeing a lot more data than you normally have. Normally you'd know the keyword or the match type, that type of stuff. You know, it might know a placement, but this is a lot richer data. How does that translate to a strategic advantage? I know we've covered a few use cases, but maybe just a summary of the things that you find useful about that.
I think it helps with reporting. You get richer reporting and context, and then you can strategize how exactly would you like to implement these custom variables into the bidding strategy. And the smarter bidding is an important one that you can use a maximize conversion value bidding strategy for lead generation clients. This is more difficult to do. It usually requires implementing offline conversions, and not many businesses have the right skills to implement this. And then I think mm, it gives just, and I think it gives more context to businesses being able to have more granularity into their data.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there are also some confusions about this topic that I found online.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people said on LinkedIn that we can send enhanced conversions this way, adding the user data as a custom variable, but this is not true. So we cannot send enhanced conversion this way. We have to send it with the user provided data variable, and also sending new customers as a custom dimension, as a custom variables. It does not populate if we send it this way,
Mm-hmm.
because the Google Ads tracking conversion tag in Google Tag Manager has separate fields for new customers, for items, for lifetime value, and for custom variables, we have to think of something different, not that is already included, because it will
I see.
not
That makes sense.
populate.
Yeah. You might as well just use the standard ones if you can.
Yeah.
And then yeah, custom variables. And I like the lead type. That's a good one because that's usually pretty subjective compared to other things like new versus return. And that's system generated, but like a good lead, it's up to that company, right? So Google's never going to know if it's a good lead or not based on your parameters, which makes a lot of sense. I'm curious in some of the mechanics of this stuff. So if how would they know that a lead is qualified when it comes in? Is that something that you send after the conversion happens? Is that something that the website or the client is smart enough to know if it's qualified or not? Do you send that after the fact, like through server side or something like that? How does that get sent to them that they know that it's qualified?
Yes, for most clients, this happens offline, and we send it through server side. But I have some clients that on their lead form on their website have different packages, different
Yeah.
values. So depending on the choice of the user, this is how they qualified as a good lead or not
Hmm.
such a good lead for
That
them.
makes sense. Yeah, we totally do
Yeah.
that, right? Where you just like even on a booking a call, if they say no to everything, then you give them then they're not a qualified lead. So you'd know that based on their answers, at least to a certain extent. So I can see that being a real time thing, or if it's decided later on, you'd have to send it over later. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, this is super powerful. But of course, anything that's powerful means that there's some gotchas with implementation. And you had mentioned that there's some misconceptions people had about how it works and everything like that. Um, are there any pitfalls that you've run into, or don't do this stuff that people should be aware of that you found in your experimentation, or that you just knew not to do based on your experience?
Yes, I think it's really important not to send sensitive information via custom variables, especially personal identifier information or profit margins that are because you can see them in the browser, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all this information should be sent hashed or server side. Maybe just rename it or use an internal name for, and you know what this means, but the final user does not know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Very much like Google Analytics, and that you have to do too, right? Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and also just don't send enhanced conversions or new versus returning customers with custom variables.
That makes
You
sense
should use,
because that's
yes,
already built in, so you can't
yeah,
really. It's a reserved variable or parameter or whatever you want to call it. So you can't do it again. Makes sense.
yes,
So have you? I mean, it sounds like this is pretty easy to implement as long as
yeah.
you have some kind of data layer or some kind of data coming to you or the sophistication to know if it's a qualified lead or not. You could probably even do it if you wanted to. You could just do it in your implementation, even if you had a Calendly link and you just said, go to this thank you page if they're not qualified, this thank you page if they are qualified. You could do it that way too, without having to have a lot of, with a lot of dynamic stuff if you did it that way. So it sounds like it's relatively easy to implement. So it's not. I mean, would you say this is easy to implement, a lot of benefits and a lot of gain for clients, like sort of a no brainer to do this if you have complex conversions that you want to track?
Yes, for sure. I think it is really easy to implement, but you have just to plan it well. You have to plan it well.
Mm-hmm.
Not implement a custom conversion that will get 100 different values, because
Mm-hmm.
then it will not be useful for
Yeah.
you. Think ahead and
Yeah.
plan. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny that I mean, I've taught Google Analytics so many times, and that's the same thing I say there too. It's like, even if it's cool, make sure that it makes sense and that that fits into your platform. So I think that's great. So that's some good, just some caveats. Don't put personally identifiable information, and make sure the data is not sensitive to the business. It can make sense to the business, but it can't be sensitive to the business or to your customers. Event parameters and enhanced conversions, like you can't push that. You can't say I want this to be an enhanced conversion because that's already reserved by Google. They're the ones who make that determination. And then new versus returning, that's also reserved as well. So let them handle that in their own way because it's built into the platform versus trying to recreate the platform through these custom event parameters.
Yes. Also, lifetime value the same. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, lifetime value is a good example too. Yeah, so to recap, I mean, it's obviously these event parameters add important business context to all the conversions, and then Google Tag Manager just added this into their interface relatively recently, and so it opens us up to everybody to be able to do this versus having to do manual coding with GTag or doing this the old fashioned way, and the process is super straightforward. But you have to remember, though, even if you do all this stuff with the Google Tag Manager work, you have to register this in Google Ads. Otherwise, it doesn't show up. And then even after you register it, as Alina was saying, waiting 7, 14, 10 days, whatever it is, in order to make sure the data is coming in. You can check it right away, check it as soon
Yeah.
as you can, but over time, that's how you're going to see if you did it right. And honestly, after listening to Alina, she's already told you some of the things you could do wrong and some of the examples. So I think that it's great that now we know some of the things we could do wrong are the pitfalls, and we can go forward future. So be smart and safe with that data you send, and use this feature for the job that it has. Any final advice, Alina, for us within the solution?
So my final recommendation is that you don't need to implement 10 variables at once. Choose one or two high impact for the business, and maybe something that is already available within the data layer, or easily to get, like a subscription plan or the lead quality. Then implement it, validate it, and get comfortable with seeing it in your reports. Then you can build it from there, and you can improve your campaigns and your bidding with these custom variables.
Nice. I love that. So I'm going to throw a surprise out there, Alina, with you. Since you're teaching our Google Ads course, or you're one of our instructors, and you're an all-around data wizard, you're a certified measurement strategist. You've taken a lot of the programs we have and contributed to a lot of what we do. I want to ask I want to talk a little bit about just the importance of just getting your data right when it comes to advertising, because I feel like sometimes we're in an echo chamber around getting your data right with analytics. Like, that's pretty standard. Like, everybody's like, yeah, we need to get our data right with Google Analytics, and that's well known, well accepted. There's a lot of programs and courses out there. Most ad courses aren't really about the data at all, right? It's about get your conversion pixel on there with some web developer person, and then make sure that it works and you're good to go. But to me, Google Ads is just as much of a slicing, dicing, analytical tool now as Google Analytics. Yet, if you do it in that interface with, you were showing columns, you were showing how to use all these parameters and how to register them and everything like that, you can get the analysis, but it's a bigger signal because it's aligned to your campaigns, your ad groups, all the things that are happening in there. So how important is the data aspect of ads now? When I first started, it wasn't really that important. It was like you have a keyword and it converted or not, and then that was pretty much it. But it seems like the landscape is so complex now that you can really get some major gains, and also the data is sort of like your protection against these black box bidding strategies.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think, like, how important is it to do this? Like, is this like, hopefully somebody watches this and they're like, wow, I didn't know that I could do this in ads, but what else can they do with data? Like, how important is this?
I cannot emphasize how important this is. So this is the first thing that if we do this aspect in a correct way,
Mm-hmm.
then the benefits are incredible for our clients. So they impact the bidding, they impact the algorithm, they impact the way our ads are getting results from Google Ads. Previously, as you said, it was not that important, but with all the automations, with the AI integrated into Google Ads more and more, and also with Meta, the quality of the data that we send is very, very important. And also the mentality that the tracking setup is set it and forget it. No, it's not that way. We can improve on it. We need to test it periodically to see that it's working, that it's retrieving the right data. And also Google Ads came up with lots of improvements in the last years, and we just have to keep the pace.
Yep.
Implementing enhanced conversions, making sure consent mode V2 is implemented, especially here in Europe, where it's mandatory from
Mm-hmm.
2024. It's mandatory. If we don't have it, you just don't have data in the Google Ads account. You don't have conversions. You don't have remarketing audiences anymore. So it's really important to keep pace, and also all this. This is one reason I invested so much in learning, because it's really important, and it's all the clients that understand how important it is also have the benefits. So they see the benefits in their account and in their businesses. And
Yeah.
it's a huge difference between an account that does not have this all the conversions set up. They don't have they don't test it. It's a real difference between a business that does not have this as a priority and ones that understand that the landscape has changed
That makes a lot
in
of
Google
sense.
Ads.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the traditional way of tracking would be to say, I had 100 people who bought something on my store. Go find 100 more. that was all that it did, right? Like try to help me find 100 more people. And now it's saying, hey, of the 100 people who bought, 20 of them are the most profitable. I'm going to carve that off as a conversion that I want. Now go get me more of the people that are like this 20. And then in order for Google to know who, or even Meta ads as well, but in order for the platform to know who are like that 20, you'd think they'd have more data now than they did 10 years ago, but they have less because of all the browser protections, all the different third-party cookies and everything like that. You are the only one that can give them, you can give them as much as much as you can for them to connect the dots that these are who these 20 people are. Here's my 20 highest value customers. Go find people like them. Go find people who are likely to buy.
Yeah.
You need to be able the one that gives them that data, because first party data is everything. Yet they can't read your mind. They don't know what you think a good lead is. They don't know what these things, they don't know. They'll give you a place that you can say that it's a good lead or that it's a returning customer or whatever, but you need to do a better job. You need to basically let them know as much as possible that's there. And then you can train them to say, go get more of these things. So you don't have to just go after the 100 all conversions. You can get way more granular, and the more focused you are, the more granular you are, the better your campaign's going to perform. Now it's more work for sure, but it's funny because like the work used to be adding, like manually adjusting your bids. It used to be a lot of these things. You have less work on that. You have more work on the setup. And then there's a lot of work that goes into this thing. It's probably the same amount of work, maybe even a little bit more work now. But also the results can be so much better, or at least the point where they're acceptable. So you need that even to have an acceptable result. And so that's where these things have evolved. And I would even say that it's more beneficial to have this data set up and this level of granularity if you're an advertiser than it is anything in Google Analytics, because Google Analytics doesn't actually, it tells you how to get more yourself, but doesn't go get you more. If you can get this level of granularity within an ad platform, it will get you more results automatically. Like you can just pay it to get more results. Google Analytics, you still have to go and do the work. So this is a huge shift that I think is really important to address and to cover.
Yes, and also Google puts a lot of emphasis on this. They added the data manager in Google Ads when you can connect your first-party data. They implemented, so they stress about implementing a customer list in your Google Ads account, just in order to give you the results that you're looking for. But without good data, the algorithm is blind.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have put it better myself. So this is great. I think we've covered the part about the custom parameters, but there's actually more we can cover for sure. Like I think maybe we can do another episode where we talk about just what's the vital data to get ads right. Like what's the minimum amount of data you need, and how do you get started? And I know you're covering that in our MeasureU course on Google Ads and getting to that point. So we it's based on, it's a 2-part course. One part is about the beginner, just getting it going, getting adjusted, getting your ads out there and getting some data in order. Then we get into the more advanced stuff as well. So I know you're going to be teaching that, and I'm excited to have you there. So we'll be doing more of this. This isn't the only time you'll be on the podcast. We'll talk offline about some episode ideas, but I really do appreciate you jumping on and sharing this technique both with the community and with the broader group, our YouTube channel. So thanks, Alina, for joining us. And I can't wait to have you on another one. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jeff. Really excited.
Yes. Thanks everybody for listening. This is the MeasureU Podcast, and we are going to, if you like this, make sure you subscribe to this channel to get more insights. Subscribe to our newsletter at MeasureU.com, and that's going to give you a notification in your inbox every time that we have a new insight, article, or something to share with you. So make sure you check that out, and we'll see you on our next episode.